unlock it. Just kidding. Just kidding. Padlocks. A little welding around. How's everybody doing? I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here, you guys. Thank you so much. You know, I've been in the industry 20 years. And every time I do an event, I am always...
Maybe we should have blocked it.
You okay?
I lost my hat.
What?
Was it okay? I was over here. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, thank God. We were going to all look for it. Panel's canceled. Find the hat. This was pause. Honey senpai. Or Tanaki.
See how many more people can fit in here.
Oh, let anybody in. Face up here. They can sit.
I just don't want to like fire hazards.
Oh, fire, Schmeier.
I did your dance before.
Right together.
I want to get over the door.
I like your sword. How many do you usually say?
I think a question now. If your girlfriend was here, I think she might have a few stab wounds.
Okay, get a good look at this girl and leave her plenty of space when you walk by. Don't get anywhere near her.
You can trust me here, I think. I don't know. My anchor is very...
You can trust me here, I think I don't know. Not instilling a lot of confidence in both of us.
Who is confident?
No, we're all silent.
That's a really good question. You know, let's talk about that later. Confidence and the illusion of confidence. Let's talk about that. I would say...
Out of school, everyone has the illusion of confidence. They're just like, I can beat you in a fight. No, you can't. I'm taller than you.
And you have a sword.
Wait, you don't take swords to school?
Not anymore. I remember the good old days. Swords, machetes, scythes, chainsaws. Never did that. Okay, let me tell you guys what I was saying. I've been doing this a long time. Kind of surprised at how long I've been doing it. And I am regularly amazed and humbled that people show up. That's why I always want to make it a point of thank you for being here. Because I don't take any of that for granted. I never have. And I'm extremely grateful that you guys are here. I appreciate that you've enjoyed my work over the years. And especially now. I'm very, very grateful for all of you being here and sharing this time. Thank you for making the event so wonderful. As soon as we're done here, I'll be back at my table, so I hope you'll come and see me. I have candy. I probably wasn't going to go, but I do like candy. Courtesy of Victor Vargas back there in the corner, so you can thank him for all the...
2 more bags tomorrow.
What? Stop!
It's already bought. Sorry.
She's like, you gonna stab someone? Can I video it? Heaven forbid you save the person. I just want to videotape it. No. guys are really enjoying yourselves.
We're on crack.
Yeah. All right then.
He's like, how many Hashtag 20 seconds with Vic.
That was the shortest panel ever. By the time it gets to the internet, it's going to be Vic was passing out cocaine. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I promise you something. Vic said he did coke. No, she said that. Hi guys. Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome. Hi.
She's so cute.
If you're videotaping because you think I'm going to say something controversial or mean, I hate to disappoint.
No, I'm just a big fan.
But I won't be.
We're trying to treasure this moment forever.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
Treasure this moment forever.
Good, please do. And I will do my best to make it treasure worthy. Yeah, exactly.
When I found out you were here, I ran. I was like,
You're kidding! When I found out you were here, I ran all the way. And I left my sword. Or I would have. Thank you. I shall keep your
Lightsaber. You should have brought a lightsaber.
Oh, gosh. Can't believe he gets the table now.
There we go. Modern problems require modern.
Ready to fight.
you know what? I got real ones at home, so I'm fine.
Hey.
I don't know.
Oh, swords?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and bases, axes,
And you survived.
Yes.
Congratulations.
if it makes you feel any better, I did try
Did
to
you wake
stab
up in the
her.
middle of the night and she was over top of you like this? You're like, what are you doing?
Actually, that happened to me via her, so I can't say anything here.
Okay.
So, that's very odd.
Okay. Your panel's after mine.
I am no one important.
I beg to differ. Before we get started, let me just tell you all that I love you. You will never. I love you 300. Darn it! I misquoted it. From Endgame, right?
Yep, endgame.
No, seriously. Let me talk with you guys for a few minutes. Just like share my heart, okay? And we'll take questions. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about.
I'm sorry. I'm leaving the top of the area.
Oh, that's fine. No,
Okay.
Hashtag Vic has a sword now.
I don't think that should have given stay here.
Can't even make me stay.
I'm just gonna sit quietly, let them entertain themselves. I do plenty of talking. I'll just let you talk. Have a little laugh.
Actually from Florida.
Let's see. First of all, before I forget, I will be back in this area, so I hope to see you guys again. Come and see me. When? Tomorrow? No, I'll be back for another event coming up, so keep your eyes open for that. By the way, yes, if you're wondering, this is an actual Super Bowl ring. I did play in the Super Bowl. No, I didn't. The very fact that it's quiet, people are like, you're kidding, right? No, I didn't. No, but it's, yeah, we all did. It's a path to voice acting. Football, voice acting. No, Victor, this is a Steelers ring. And he got one from my mom, too. And my mom will love it even more than I do. Although my mother's very small, this will go on her thigh. She's very tiny. You guys, let me just share my heart for a couple of minutes, if I may, like just have your attention for this. It's been a horrible year.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But let me just tell you something. There are two things that have gotten me through this last year. One is my faith in God. I have been telling people for 20 years, sharing my faith as best I can. Certainly made my share of mistakes, as we all have. But when you have difficulties that hit you, and I'm sure a lot of you know I'm sure a lot of you have had your own, right? Yeah. All of us. If you live to be more than 7 years old, by that time something bad has happened, or it will very soon. That's where you really come to ask yourself like serious questions about what you really believe and what you really stand and hold on to. It's easy to talk, when everything's going great. It's always easy to talk a big game when everything's just going so great. And when things go bad and you start having challenges and difficulties, you learn some very important lessons. One you learn is who your real friends are. I don't want to bust anybody's bubble here, but when you go through hardships, you learn who really cares about you and who was just kind of along for the fun of it. I've had to learn that lesson horribly over the last year. And you also find out, who you can really depend on. And I just wanted to thank you guys. This is where I was going with this comment. The only two things that got me through the last year was my faith and believing that God is in control. Whether I know what in the world He's doing is not the point, because I don't. But you just have to believe there's a point to all of it. And the second one is you. That was my point. Is that the other thing that has gotten me through this year has been the kindness and the support of so many wonderful people. You guys, this is so profound to me, and I hope it means as much to you as it does to me. For almost 20 years, I have gone to conventions and met people like you who have walked up to me and said, "You made such a difference in my life. This character you played, or this show you did, or something you said at a panel, and it really helped me in a very difficult time." If I had a nickel for everybody that's ever said that to me, I have a lot of nickels. Let's just put it that way. But you know what's profound? Is that at this moment in time, there has been a complete reversal. And you are now the ones encouraging me and helping me through a difficult time. I think that's beautiful. So many people that I meet feel kind of insignificant. They don't feel like maybe nobody really knows who they are. They feel kind of lonely and a little cut off from the world, and they feel kind of invisible. I'm just going to be honest, a lot of anime fans that I've met over the years feel that way. So I want you to know, if any of you are in this room, I want you to know not only are you not insignificant, but you have made a very positive difference in my life. You probably never imagined that you would have that power, but you do. So go home tonight feeling good about the fact that you have the power to make people that you interact with make their lives a little better and encourage them. You all have that power. What's really sad is that a lot of people are so lonely, and they don't even like themselves much. I mean, let's just be honest. They don't like themselves much. They feel kind of empty. and they get mad about it, and they so badly want to be noticed. They so badly want to feel relevant that it, in many cases, pushes them to do and say incredibly hurtful and horrible things. On the internet, where of course they're safe, right? Because who are you anyway? Like, I don't know who you are. You're behind a screen name, behind an IP, on a computer where? Who knows, right? So people are really, courageous and outspoken in that setting. But I feel bad because you know what? We're all in this together, guys. You know that? I don't know if you know that or not, but we are. I was having a dinner with a friend of mine last week in Dallas, and my friend was commiserating how insecure they felt, how scared they were, how much they lacked confidence. And we were sitting at the table, and I said to my friend, "See that guy?" I just pointed to a guy at another table, 20 feet away, and she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "He's just as scared as you are." See that woman? Struggles with insecurity just like you do. You see where I'm going with this? We are all part of the human race, and we all struggle with the same things. Would it surprise any of you to know that I struggle with self-worth and insecurity? Usually, a lot of times, the most confident people are really the terribly insecure ones. They put on this really great, you know what I mean? They put on this really good facade of being so confident and so sure of themselves. And the reality is that they struggle just like everybody else does. It's no different. So I want you guys to know that we are all in the same boat together. And whatever struggles you're dealing with, people around you are dealing with struggles as well. And what the greatest thing would be in the world would be for us to help each other. Wouldn't it be great to encourage each other instead of, stomp on somebody when they're down or put them down because it makes you feel important? Somebody said something to me the other day that I thought was so profound, and I'll share it with you. Putting out someone's light, putting out someone else's light does not make yours shine any brighter. Oh my gosh, isn't that great? I love it. I love that. So I want to talk about fun stuff. And I just wanted to take 5 minutes to thank you and let you know how much you mean to me and how grateful I am. So I want to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. So who's got a question? Yes.
Hey Vic, so you did a lot of anime and JRPG stuff, like from when you worked with Funimation in Dallas, Bang Zoom in LA, and ADV and Sentai Filmworks in Houston. How were you able to manage you got to work with Steve Bloom, Wendy Lee, Robert McCollum, and Colleen Clickenbeard, Hillary Haig, and also what was that other? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, Brett Weaver and stuff.
Sure.
So how did?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll answer your question by telling you all I'm going to try to do this in 1 minute. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to set a timer because I'm just
kind of on my mind ever since I heard your voice, because you got to juggle around with so many different locations.
Well, let me tell you how it happened, okay? And I'm going to see if I can do it in 1 minute. Ready? And so I was living in Houston, and I met somebody from ADV, and they said, "Hey, you want to come and voice act for this anime thing?" I'm like, "Sure." So I did it. I lived in Houston, and I started working at ADV. Then I started doing convention appearances, and I met people from Funimation. And they're like, "Hey, we do stuff up in Dallas. You want to come be in Dragon Ball Z?" And I'm like, "Sure. What's Dragon Ball Z?" Like, "Oh yeah, you should come." So then I started working at Funimation. So I live in Houston, I go to Dallas, back and forth. And then I started meeting people from conventions in LA. And then I started meeting people from conventions that worked in New York. So I did Pokemon and stuff back in New York, and I'm just fly out to LA and started working out there. And then I started dating somebody that lived out there. But my deal is I just go where the work is, which is kind of the thing you have to do in almost any field, is that you have to go where the work is. That's how I ended up working in all these different places.
That's amazing.
Boom.
A minute.
Yes.
I love your boots. Where did you get
Do
them?
you really?
Where did you get
I
your
do
boots?
too.
It's a boot day. Wow. Thank you. You know what? I should get a new pair because I have worn these way too long.
Well loved.
But they're fun. And they make me taller. Not by much, but I'm pretty sure your shoes beat the Empire State Building. Those are huge.
Don't forget to mention the
They're
reviews.
actually Harley Davidson boots. And it's not because I'm a Harley fan. I just saw them. I'm like, oh, those are cool. And they could have been made. I could have got them on Wish. I don't know. It wouldn't matter. I just think they're cool. You know, I'm like a brand name person. Yes.
That guy has fun.
Yeah.
Dang, you got people raising their hands.
Yeah, so it's like you can't.
I can see him. He's right there. He'll never see me down here. Raise your hand for me. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I warned you about this. I want to apologize in advance for asking about it. And no, it has nothing to do with powdered donuts, lemon cookies, that line about Mustang, or something else I'll mention in about 3 hours. So, anyways.
Okay.
Can you really bruise someone right here with a Milky Way, especially if the name?
No, that's a lie.
There's video evidence.
No. Oh, there's video evidence. Maybe it was just chocolate from the Milky Way that rubbed on their,
No.
you know, like a bruise.
Well, dang it.
You know what? Let's perform an experiment. You come to my table after, and I will throw a candy bar at your leg.
No.
And if it makes a bruise,
Well,
I owe you $10.
well.
And if it doesn't bruise you, you owe me $1,000.
No.
Oh.
And he's gonna be walking
Those
to
stakes
my,
just increased.
he's gonna be walking over there going, throwing hit me right here. Already prepared the bruise in advance.
Yeah, it happens ahead of Class 06.
Really?
Yep.
My little Edo?
Yep. You know,
Cecilia?
yes. Yeah, there's footage from Anime and Magic 06.
I don't believe that's true. I bruised her
Well, when she came in, she's like, you gave her a bruise, and she,
from a Milky Way.
yes, okay.
I'd like to explain, I was giving her a gift. You see, this is the way things can get twisted, yeah? You know, see, you could have said, oh, he was so sweet, he was throwing candy out and giving everybody candy, and one hit me in the leg, instead of, he bruised me. You see how it sounds violent? I'm calling her right now. Oh yeah, you didn't know we were still talking. Oh yeah. I didn't know. I didn't know I was going to have to be accountable. Yeah. I hope she answers. I haven't talked to her in a long time. What's your name? Steve.
Oh no.
Don't move, Steve.
I love it.
You were actually like, you know, at one point.
Wait.
Oh no.
Oh, John. You could be a very lucky man today. We'll leave her a message, everybody, okay?
Yeah.
A name, a message, and a phone number. That's what we're supposed to do. Hang on. Oh, hello, Edo. It's Vic. I am standing in a room with a sword. You're probably wondering, what are you doing with a sword? Who are you going to kill? I might kill this guy in front of me right here, Steve. Steve is a friend, and he came to this convention, and he was asking me in front of everybody about bruising you with a Milky Way. Is that true? Did I really do that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Steve's sorry he brought it up, and now I will kill him. Everybody say hi to Edo.
Hi.
Ah! Yes, sir.
Speaking of Dallas, what do you think of the Dallas Cowboys?
They're idiots. That's what I think of the Dallas Cowboys. No, they're not. I'm just trying to be funny. Actually, I'm not a fan. I'm a Steelers fan. I grew up in Pittsburgh, y'all. And I mean, I love the Steelers, and you know, Dallas, of course, you know, they're big Cowboys fans in Dallas, so I meet a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans, but I always have to put them in their place. Exactly.
Nobody loves Dallas.
Yes, my dear.
I love Dallas. The city. Love the city.
You're not curious.
I'm curious.
I can tell you are.
Oh my god!
It's funny because I'm only 14.
What? I'm only 17. Y'all made me feel short. Damn.
I feel like I'm like 16.
I wish I was. I'm only 17.
I'm 5'9".
Oof. Eating fertilizer or something? He's taller than I am.
One second. Hold on. Guys, question?
My friends Derek and David told me to tell you that they love you, and
I love you, Derek. I love you, David.
Oh.
I love y'all. I love y'all. That'll be on the internet. Simply gonna kiss me made me so uncomfortable. Well, it was through a phone, but it was still uncomfortable. What?
You didn't ask the phone's permission.
Do I have their permission? Can I say something about that real quick? I know this is going to get me in trouble, and I can't help it. I can't stop my mouth from talking.
Same. Still same.
Okay, guys, look. Earlier on in the year, last year, at the beginning of the year, I did a convention in Bakersfield, back anime. It was very emotional because the stuff that had just started, and I very tearfully apologized to anyone that I have ever inadvertently offended. Now, I want to explain something to you. It has never been, nor will it ever be, my intention to ever overstep or offend anyone. Ever. But when 1,000 people come to your table and they want a hug, you start to just get, it just kind of becomes like part of just everybody. And it's that 1,001 that doesn't want one. And they may not even say they don't want one. They may not even say anything. They could very easily just say, oh, is it okay if we don't hug for the photo? Or I'm good without a hug. I'm not going to do it anyway. I'm respectful. But they don't say that. They hug you, take the picture, and then they go home and they talk about how uncomfortable they were.
Now
They should say something, number one. But here's the other thing. I just want to say this, guys. If you're standing in an autograph line, and everybody, look, phone, video, phone. They're everywhere, right? Phone. And you're standing there for 2 hours in a line to go meet Steve Bloom. See him right there at that table right there in the yellow shirt? There's Steve, right? And I'm in a line with 200 people waiting to meet Steve Bloom. And I'm watching Steve Bloom the whole time. There he is, in plain view, right? Okay, you with me? Yeah. So I'm watching for 2 hours. I'm watching all the 200 people before me walk up there one at a time. And what does Steve do? He signs, he smiles, talks to them, he gets out, comes from around the table, and gives them a hug, and takes a picture. I watched that happen for 200 people. What do I think is going to happen when I get there? Do you see my point? What did you think was, you know what I mean? Like everybody going up there, you could see it very clearly. You could see it with your own eyes for 2 hours. So you see the way this guy interacts with people, and if that's not something you're comfortable with, that's totally fine. But say something, or just be like, "I'm cool," you know. Just that. I only tell you that because I want you to understand that it's easy to get into a routine and a rhythm. I'm a hugger. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I'm Italian. I'm older. I come from a different generation. You hug people. It doesn't mean anything pervy or nefarious. It doesn't. And it's so important to me that everybody understand that it has never or will never be my intention to offend somebody or do anything that makes somebody uncomfortable. That's never been my desire or intention. That was what I was apologizing for at the beginning of last year, is that if I ever offended anybody inadvertently, I am wholeheartedly sorry. That would never be my intention. But like I said, you know, if 500 people walk up and say, "Can I get a hug? Can I get a hug? Can I get a hug?" The 501st person, you just kind of assume everything's cool. And it's not, and that's fine. I get it. I do. But I just want you guys to understand that. Okay? Question? Yes. You said.
So 2 things. One, I just wanted to show you this. I bought this while
Dude, I love it! You're
And my girlfriend wanted.
You know you're gonna have to stand all day now because your shirt says I stand. I'm gonna get one that says I lay down. So that you can relax. Get one of those. I nap. How about that?
You got one too?
Oh my gosh! Thank you guys.
Aww.
Yes, question.
$10?
Yes, my girlfriend wanted to let you know she is a huge fan, and she wanted me to let you know. She's had 2 separate cons. She lives in Sacramento. That you've been out there, and she's missed you both times.
Oh no!
So she wanted me just to let you know that.
I love Sac Anime.
I was just out there this past year.
Were you really? For their winter show?
Mm-hmm. For the one that just passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That they do 2 shows a year. They do a winter one and a summer one, and I've never done their summer one, but I've done the winter one probably 6 or 7 times. I love that show. Please give her my best.
I will.
Tell her that I will use this if she doesn't come to see me next time I'm out there. Okay? I'd love to see both of you.
My sword. No.
What did you just say? I bent your sword? How would I bend your sword? First of all, I didn't even touch it. And look, I don't know if you noticed this plastic. It bends. Question? Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just got a question. Could you it's a request, I guess?
Yeah.
Could you say who are you calling short?
Wait, 1 second.
Please do it. I'm just gonna do this for your video. You recording right now?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're recording?
I'm positive.
Promise you're not gonna come back to the table later and go, can you do it again? Because no, it's only for him.
It's like everyone.
Derek and who's the other guy who's kissing earlier? Derek and who?
David.
Derek and David. Is this for them too?
Yeah.
All right. Derek. David. Who are you calling a pipsqueak?
Well, first of all, thank you for coming to Savannah.
My pleasure.
This is the first time that I've seen
Oh
you
my
in
gosh!
person.
Edo's calling back. Oh,
Good, Dave.
hello. Is this Edo? Edo, how's your bruise? I don't know. Well, Steve's here telling me about how I assaulted you with a Milky Way.
No, I didn't know. I even commented on that video saying that if I ever saw you again, I would bring it up.
See? Well, you have good representation here, Cecilia. Where am I?
Savannah, Georgia.
I'm in Savannah, Georgia. And did you get the voicemail? Say hi, everybody. Hi! We're having a panel and we love you. Which leg did I bruise?
Left one.
Can I ask you a very important question? Has Steve examined your body? Because he's answering the question for you as if he knows your leg.
Because I've seen the video.
Because he's seen the video. So which leg was it? Well, Steve remembers. Yeah, probably. Well, here's all I want to say. Whichever leg that I accidentally bruised you on with the Milky Way, next time I see you, I'll bruise the other one. Symmetrical. Keep it balanced. How are you doing? You doing okay? Well, good. Give Jason my best. In fact, today's his birthday, isn't it? Oh! Everybody say happy birthday, Jason.
Happy birthday, Jason.
I wrote him a note on Facebook. So please give him my best, okay? All right, love you, sweetie. Bye. Look how red! Amazing shape. You remind me of that lobster.
In the Low Country Sun at Paris Tier.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. Oh, that gets some good sun.
I lost 40 pounds.
Wow! Oh my gosh, good for you. I'm so sorry we got interrupted by the phone call. Yes?
This is my first time seeing you live.
My goodness!
Thank you for coming to Georgia.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.
I've waited 15 years to see you in person.
Oh my God! Where have you been all those years?
I'm not around the country at various times.
Well, I'm so happy to meet you. What's your name?
Griffin.
Griffin, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for coming. Well, do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when exactly the recording for Fullmetal started and the recording for Persona 3? What month of the year?
Oh gosh. You mean the original Fullmetal?
Yes.
Like the first one?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. 2007 maybe?
That's right, you were junior.
Yeah. Yeah, and Persona has been around a while as well. Persona was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11. 2010, 2011 maybe.
Persona 3 was 2007.
Oh my gosh, was it? So I did Jupiter around the same time as Fullmetal started? This is my new favorite. I love JoJo. I love Rohan.
Speaking of JoJo,
Jotaro.
What's happening?
I know, Bree's not enjoying it.
The old through the door photo.
oh, big stalker.
Cheese.
Oh yeah. Very cool. Any other questions, Griff?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah. Have you seen both Fullmetals? Brotherhood.
I've still never seen Brotherhood.
Watch
So let me just tell you, Griffin. Let me tell you something. People ask me all the time, which one do you like better? They usually ask me that because they like Brotherhood best. Most people, I'd say 80% probably, Brotherhood is their favorite. However, that doesn't mean the first one isn't freaking awesome. I love, and I'm one of the 20%ers. I'm one that I love the original Fullmetal. And it's not even necessarily because, oh, this story is this or that. No, because I fell in love with those characters for the first time in the first series. It's like your first love, you know what I mean? You fall in love with some guy or girl in high school, right? You move on, you go to college, you get married, but you always remember that first, you know what I mean? And there was something so special about Fullmetal. I'd done probably 30 or 40 more anime series by the time I got cast in Fullmetal, and nothing had ever grabbed me the way that show did. I loved it so much. In fact, I would be remiss not to tell you about Fullmetal Fantasy, wouldn't I? I never talk about that. I should, but I just don't think about it. Not very good at promotion. Did you notice that? While we were making Fullmetal, Griffin, I was having so much fun, and I loved that character so much that I wanted to cosplay as Ed. And so I came up with this story idea where a grown man starts turning into an anime character. And then I thought, I don't think I've ever seen any voice actors ever cosplay as their characters. So I asked a bunch of the other voice actors in Fullmetal if they wanted to do this thing with me. And they're like, yes! So we all got together one weekend in Houston, Texas, where I was working with ADV. And I wrote a little short film called Fullmetal Fantasy. Basically, voice actors from Fullmetal cosplaying as their characters. And the only time I would ever show it would be like at a convention, like in a panel or something, or if I did a live music concert. Some of you may or may not know, I've been writing and producing and singing music for twice as long as I've been voice acting.
Yes.
So I have a lot of music. I've sung a lot of theme songs to different anime series, One Piece, GT, Dragon Ball Kai, and GT, and DNA.
Oh, I really love the Dragon Ball Kai. I love the rest of it.
So I would do concerts at conventions, and occasionally I would show Fullmetal Fantasy in the concert, and then I would come out and sit at the piano and play and sing the Brothers theme. So it was a nice segue from Fullmetal Fantasy into the Brothers theme. A few years back, I decided to make a really nice concert DVD. I did a big concert at a big convention that had great cameras and crane cameras that would go over the audience and intelligent lighting on the stage and fog machines and like full-on production. And I thought, well, this would be a great opportunity to make a concert DVD. So I made one, and it turned out really great. Dolby 5.1 mix, all the music, songs from Fullmetal, Dean Angel, On High School, Dragon Ball, a lot of originals, great audience, great video. And when I decided to make the concert, I thought, well, since I show Fullmetal Fantasy in the context of my concerts, maybe it's time to make it available to the fans. So I have the concert DVD on the table out here, and it contains Fullmetal Fantasy, which is this live action Fullmetal thing that we did with the other voice actors. So I never even talk about it, and then I forget that I never said anything about it. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, come see me after. Hold on one second, I want to get to some people that haven't asked. What? Yes?
Okay, so my boyfriend's at work. He says he loves you and supports you, but he has a question for you.
Hi, what's his name?
His name is Ray.
Hi, Ray!
So he was just asking, he said he always loves your outfits all the time. We were just talking about your shoes a minute ago, but he says that you always have these cool outfits every time at a convention, so he's wondering where you get your clothes from.
You know what's funny? It's so funny how, like, some people really like they say nice things, and other people are like, make fun of it. It's so funny. You wouldn't expect people to make fun of what you're wearing at an anime convention, would you? You know what I mean? Like, look around. This is a chance to just be you, right? You know what? I just like weird things. Like, I like asymmetrical things.
Yeah.
And
he always loves your outfits. He just says you always are pretty much stylish every time you come in.
Please tell Ray I said thank you.
And stuff.
Ray, thank you.
And he loves your voice.
Ray,
as well.
thank you. Hey, Derek's not the only one.
I love that. Thank you.
But you know what? I wherever you find them, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like I shop here.
Yeah.
I just look for weird stuff, just interesting things.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I tell you, Wish has some pretty cool stuff.
Oh yes.
Right? It's cheap and it's not usually well made. And there's another place online. If you guys, any of you guys, or even girls, that like really cool pants.
Yeah.
I've got some really cool, like they've got like lacing on them and cool, really cool pants. I got them from a website called Warnstar. WORNSTAR. Warnstar.com. There's another place in LA that went out of business in LA, but they also have an online store called Forgotten Saints, which is cool. This is the first time I've ever worn this sweater. I bought this online. I saw it. I saw a picture. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
It looks good.
Does it look okay? Thank you. You're very kind. I've never worn it before. It showed up yesterday at my house. What's the temperature in Savannah? I'm taking the long sleeve.
And yeah, I'm the dumb person that's wearing long sleeves.
Oh, listen. You know Marie, Gothic Sushi, who's one of the organizers here. She picked us up at the airport yesterday, and she walks into the airport. And she's wearing like these little jean shorts, and the first words out of her mouth is, "My gosh, it's freezing out there." I'm like, why aren't you wearing something? Maybe clothes would help. I don't know. But
that's kind of like how I was a few days ago. I live like an hour away from here.
3 hours.
It was raining like crazy. It was so cold, and I did not even know about it until I left the house.
some people get it.
I was going to get gas at a gas station, and I was wearing a really short sleeve shirt, very thin pants.
Oh my God.
I think I was like wearing.
You like roll your window down and go, "Could you pump my gas for me?"
Thank you. I was not dressed for that, all that.
You know, when I was in high school, I played soccer, and we would play Saturday mornings. It was cold. I mean, you'd play into the cold months, and there was dew on the ground. So it was, you know what I'm talking about. It was wet and cold, and somebody would kick that ball, boom! And it would hit you right in the thigh, and like, ah! Well, after a couple of seasons of that, you don't even feel it anymore. So maybe that's how she's like, yeah, I don't even feel it. Yes.
I have a quick question. So what was it like voicing Rohan and JoJo?
Oh, I love it so much. You know what, you guys, and I'm so glad. Did you see these amazing cosplayers here? Right. In their Rohan cosplay. Excuse me, JoJo. And there's JoJo. No, I'm talking about the series. JoJo. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Pardon? No. I'm just talking about the series that Rohan are in, this style of animation. I have been seeing this for years and years and years at conventions. And I didn't know what it was from. It has its own style. You immediately know. You know what I mean? That somebody's cosplaying from that series. And I would ask people eventually, after I saw enough cosplayers, what is this? It's so cool. And it was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm like, oh, okay. And I kind of logged that away. And then, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 2 years now, I got cast. Bang Zoom called and said, we want you to come play this character named Rohan. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't know. And I get in there, and I'm looking at the animation. Like, what's this called? Oh, this is Diamonds Are Unbreakable. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, is it really? So after all these years of seeing this amazing cosplay, I was so excited to get to be a part of JoJo. I love it. Question? Yeah, Spidey.
Have you ever watched the series, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
No. I haven't. I've seen. I haven't.
I was gonna ask you to bully my boyfriend into watching it.
I am sure.
Can you still bully him to watch it anyway?
Yeah, you know what? Let's just add bullying to the list. Let's just add bullying to the list. Horrible things about me. You No, I will not bully you. I will intimidate you. Not bully. No, dude, it's really awesome. Am I right? It's a great show. You should check it out.
I thought the same way.
What's the best season?
Stardust Crusaders.
I say the same.
Is that?
Part 5. Part 3.
Have you seen it all? Have you seen it all?
I'd like to.
Okay, well, if I'm going to be the one that's bullying him, then he needs to watch my season.
He needs to get there.
Is that 4?
Yeah.
Part 4.
At least make it. Someone make it.
Diamonds are forever.
Nope.
I was channeling my inner jeweler.
I know.
My Zales jewelry. Yeah, watch that. What's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny? Dude, check it out. You'll love it. I think you'll enjoy it. And you'll make her very happy. Two really good reasons to do it. Yes?
So, I've known you kind of following your career for a while. One of the biggest things I wanted to ask you when I met you is what has been the most difficult but most rewarding step that you've ever had to take in your career in the 20+ years that you've been doing it?
Wow. You don't hear new questions very often. That's a good question. What's the most difficult but most rewarding step? Yeah, the sword of memory. Why is there a cut on Vic's forehead? Well, he was pushing the sword against it. I don't know what he was doing. I think it would not be truthful for me to say something was like so difficult. I don't recall that anything was really struck me that way. I have been very blessed. I never planned to be a voice actor. I loved acting. I did a lot of theater and musicals and stage plays and some on-camera stuff. But when somebody asked me about ADV and said you should go and audition for this place, they're looking for actors, I just wanted to go and act. I didn't know whether they paid or how much they paid. I didn't know whether it would come of it, whether they sold it. Was it on television? Was it on videos? What was it? I didn't even know. I just knew that it was a chance to play a character, and I loved acting. So things just kind of evolved from there. I was just fortunate enough to get in on the industry when it was still very small. I often wonder if I would even get cast,
Yeah, you would.
Today. You know what I mean? Because the competition is so much greater. Back then, ADV was the size of this room. Like, it was just a little shop, and they had recorders and computers and, some televisions, and they would dub it into a couple of offices, and they would rewrite scripts into English and dub it. And it was just this little group of people that loved anime and wanted to make it available to people in English. But it's grown so much since then. And I just was fortunate enough to kind of get involved with it back right at the turn, like at 2000, 1999, 2000. I think maybe I don't want to say most difficult, but I think maybe one of the most significant things about that helped me was that I would take advantage of opportunities even if it was inconvenient. For instance, somebody says to you, hey, I want you to play this character in Bleach, but you live in Texas and we record in LA and we don't have the money to fly you to LA, and we have 10,000 actors in LA right down the street. So if you want to do it, you have to bring yourself. You have to buy your own plane ticket, find a place to stay. A lot of people would be like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, that's just a little too much. But the reason that I was able to work in New York, in LA, Dallas, and Houston, was because anytime I got an opportunity, I would go. Even if it, usually meant, you guys, I'll tell you something funny. I don't think I've ever told anybody this. When I started working at Funimation, which is in Dallas, and I was living in Houston. I never lived in Dallas. I lived in Houston, 4.5 hours south of Dallas. Now, sure, 4.5 hours, yeah, you could drive that, but not a lot. You know what I mean? You don't want to be doing that every few days.
Yeah, it becomes 8, 9 hours.
Yeah. And if you don't live in Dallas, you got to find a place to stay while you're there, right? Of the hundreds of shows and literally thousands of hours and recording sessions I have spent at Funimation, they have never paid for me to travel there.
Wow, that's dedication.
Because there are 1,000 voices and 1,000 actors in Dallas, right? That they're gonna, well, I love you for that. You know what I'm saying? To them, it's business. It's just business. We need a voice for this character. This guy is too far away, or this guy is too hard to schedule, or this guy's not available. Get him, or him, or him. They don't care. And I know that. So I knew that if I was living in Houston when when they were auditioning for Fullmetal Alchemist. And I flew up there and auditioned because I wanted to be a part of it. And every time I went to Funimation, I flew there myself. Had a friend that lived there, so I stayed with him. But I paid for my own travel. The only travel that Funimation ever paid for was for the Broly movie that was last year. Because I was living in LA, and it was a character that I had already played, and so I was kind of established in that role. And
you were perfect for that role.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely
Thank you.
perfect.
How did you feel when Johnny and Bosch took over your voice for the game?
I really don't know what to say about that. How do you answer a question like that? Because I love Johnny. Johnny and I are buddies. As far as I know, in fact, I wrote him after I heard. I texted him and I said, "Hey man, just wanted to say congratulations."
Yeah, because like,
and he was like, "Man, I really wanted to tell you myself." And he said, "I appreciate the kind words." And I said, "Well, you know what, dude?" I said, "I hate not playing these roles anymore, but if somebody else is going to play them, I'm at least glad to know that it's a good person like you." So, yes.
I wanted to ask you, what is next in your, what do you have next, for your career?
Well, I've got a couple of authors that want me to do audiobooks.
Oh, yes! Yes!
Really?
Yes!
Would you listen?
I'd love to hear your voice.
I don't even buy audiobooks. I buy his.
So there
I
are
don't buy audiobooks. I buy his.
And I've been contacted by several different companies, like video game companies, and people that are wanting to put anime series together. The problem is, just like with the rest of the internet, who are you talking to? You don't even know, right? I could write you the most professional, sharp, accomplished letter. I'm the executive producer of such and such, and blah blah blah. And all you would get that letter and like, man, I hit the jackpot. This is amazing. What you don't know is that I'm 14 and I'm writing you that from my bedroom, and that I've never done anything. I'm in high school, but you don't know that. And unfortunately, that's what the internet has given us. It's given people the power, for bad or good, to create an illusion, to create a perception on the internet that quite probably is absolutely wrong. I've met people who I saw them on the internet, or I read something about them, and then I met them in person, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, whoa, you don't you are nothing like what you project online. So you have to be careful. The point is, even though somebody may write you, you have to be careful. And, you know, a lot of people have written me and said, I want to do an anime series and I want you to play the lead. And I would write back and say, well, I appreciate you thinking of me. Can you tell me more? And you know what they say? A lot of times they'll say, oh, well, I haven't done it yet, but I want to launch a Kickstarter and I want to use your name. I'm like, yeah, no. I've told a dozen people that do not use my name to raise money. I do not want to be used for that purpose because, number one, I don't want to be used like that. But secondly, what if it's crap? What if it's something really crummy and you don't know? And you just, you know what I mean? You gave them your name and they're out there advertising. No. So you know what I end up telling them? If you get funding and you get to the point where you're actually going to make something and you have finances available to rent studios and hire people, let me know. The audio. Well, yeah, the audiobooks are real. I mean, these are people that actually wrote books.
Yeah, of course.
So you know that, yeah. So there's that. I've also, believe it or not, I can't even believe I haven't even said the word Star Trek yet. Can you believe that? How have I not talked about Star Trek? I was just going to say something about Star Trek. Oh yes, I was getting ready to do another music album. I was really excited to make another music CD, and I had it all planned out. And then I started Star Trek Continues, and that kind of put the whole music thing on the back burner while I was producing that series. And before I let everybody go, if you have not seen my series, you need to go home soon and watch it.
That's awesome.
It's called Star Trek Continues. StarTrekContinues.com. That's all you need to remember. It picks up where the original series was canceled back in the late 60s, and it finishes the 5-year mission of the Enterprise and leaves everybody right where they were when Star Trek the Motion Picture begins. It perfectly fills that space. And we've got over 10 million viewers, and it's won dozens of awards. It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
And you know what else? I would be remiss not to also tell you that 1 week from today, I will be at our studio in Kingsland, Georgia.
Okay.
I think it's an hour away, you guys. I think it's like 90 miles or something. You live in Kingsland?
It's 5 minutes from our house.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Have you been to the studio?
No.
What? Okay, so listen.
I will be there.
You better. When we finished our series, we built the whole soundstage, you guys. We rebuilt the entire soundstage from the original Star Trek series. You feel like you're on the Enterprise. You're walking around, step right in, up onto the transporter platform, walk around the bridge, sit in the captain's chair. It's beautiful. It's like a dream. It's like stepping into a dream. But the guy that took over the studio for us after we finished our series, who owns it now, does these open houses where people can come, and by the way, it's free.
Are you hot?
Yeah.
It's nice
Do you
in
need
here
a
though.
saving? 'Cause
What?
it might be overtime.
Oh, am I done?
Normally I would come over there and trample
Oh,
everybody
you know
for
what?
you.
You're right. I am done. Let me just finish
But
this
that,
thought.
I couldn't even knock on that door.
Sorry.
So I'm sorry, everybody, but I have to take Vic away now. That's okay.
No, it's fine. Let me just finish this
that's
thought.
fine.
So, you guys, if any of this Star Trek stuff sounds interesting to you, go home, look up Neutral Zone Studios. That's the guy that took it over. Now, here's the deal, guys. Every month, there's one day where people can come and watch, and come and tour the sets and walk around and take pictures.
I enjoyed it though.
And I go there and I give tours because I helped build it. It was
One of my legs
series.
is asleep.
I just did it 2 weeks ago in January. The February event is next Saturday. I'll be flying back here next Friday to Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville.
Yeah. And then there'll be another date in March and another date in April. You can find out all the information on Neutral Zone Studios. I'm heading back to my table. Come see me. I love you guys.
Love you.